Okay, guys, thanks for turning into part two. This might be a little bit quicker, but so we need to pick up essentially where we left off, which is Jesus and the Sanhedrin. Yes. Okay. So not surprising at all because we know the ending, but Jesus is convicted, all right, by the Sanhedrin, and essentially they can't kill him, right? Because if they just go around crucifying people, then the Romans are going to be like, hey, listen, you can't do that, right? So they need Roman approval to crucify. Okay, so they take him to a guy named Pontius Pilate, an important character that you need to know, right? Pontius Pilate. So we go through this kind of trial, right? It's a lot longer in the other Gospels, but essentially in Mark, right, he is sentenced to death by Pilate. And kind of in the midst of this, right, Pilate really does not want to sentence him. And so he offers to the Israelite crowd, he's saying, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll release one person to you guys, just, as a means of bargaining. I'll either release Barabbas, and he will no longer be a prisoner, or I'll release Christ. And Barabbas had been a guy who was a very, very violent revolutionary. He had killed a lot of people, was not very well liked by the Jews. And, of course, right, the Jews said, no, we'll take Barabbas. Yeah, he's better than Christ. Christ, who had not killed anybody, right, but they were kind of just so overcome, the Israelites, with their obsession of hating Christ, that they chose Christ to be sentenced to death over Barabbas, right? Rumor has it that Barabbas ended up converting, right? But that's just kind of a Christian legend, okay? So, Jesus is sentenced to death, all right? He's mocked, he's beaten, he's whipped, okay? We have the Stations of the Cross, okay? And then, right, we have the piercing of the hands and the feet. If you guys have ever seen The Passion of Christ, oh man, it's very intense stuff, for sure, right? And so when Christ is lifted up on the crucifix, something I really want to kind of focus in on here are some of his last words. Right? He says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Right? Forsaken is kind of another word for abandoned. And a lot of people might point to this line and say, why is Jesus, who claims to be God, talking to God, saying, you have abandoned me? Here's the full psalm, right? And I am going to read it for you guys. I want you to listen to it and figure out what's going on, because when Jesus says these words, my God, why have you abandoned me? Why have you forsaken me? What he was really kind of pointing to was the entirety of the psalm. And as we'll see, it's not really about abandonment at all. Okay? My God, why have you abandoned me? Why so far from my call for help, from my cries of anguish? My God, I call by day, but you do not answer, by night, but I have no relief. You are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the glory of Israel. And you, our fathers, trusted. They trusted, and you rescued them. To you they cried, and they escaped. In you they trusted, and were not disappointed. But I am a worm, not a man, scorned by men, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They curl their lips and jeer. They shake their heads at me. He relied on the Lord. Let him deliver him. If he loves him, let him rescue him. For you drew me forth from the womb, made me safe at my mother's breasts. Upon you I was thrust from the womb. Since my mother bore me, you are my God. I can count all my bones. They stare at me and gloat. They divide my garments among them. From my clothing they cast lots. But you, Lord, do not stray far off. My strength comes quickly to help me. Then I will proclaim your name to my brethren. In the assembly I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, give praise. All descendants of Jacob, give honor. Show reverence, all descendants of Israel. For he has not spurned or disdained the misery of this poor wretch, did not turn away from me, but heard me when I cried out. I will offer praise in the great assembly. My vows I will fulfill before those who fear him. The poor will eat their fill. Those who seek the Lord will offer praise. May our hearts enjoy life forever. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord. All the families of nations will bow low before him. For kingship belongs to the Lord, the rule over the nations. And I will live for the Lord. My descendants will serve you. So, if anybody knows what this is referencing, okay, then they would know, right, that Christ, this guy who was dying on the cross, right, publicly mocked in front of everybody, being spat on, beaten, whipped, right? This is the guy who is going to be, right, the light to the nations. This is the guy who is going to be, right, the Davidic king, the suffering servant, right? So he's essentially saying, I am fulfilling all of the scriptures in this moment here. This is, gentlemen, the most essential moment to our Christian faith, right? This is the moment, right? A lot of people call it the scandal of the cross, okay? It is an essential belief of our faith that God, who created the universe, became man so that man might become God. God became man so that man might become God. Right? That's the mystery of the incarnation. And not only is this an essential doctrine of our faith, right? That Christ is God, right? But also that Christ, God, died to save us from sin. Right? This moment here, this death on the cross, we would not be saved from sin. We would, not have access to eternal happiness, eternal grace, if it weren't for this moment right here. So it is, the holiest moment of our faith. It is one that we should cherish and think about often, and realize the necessity for it. So I hope you guys can all kind of wrap your heads around that. And then the last part of the Gospel of Mark is very brief. This is SparkNotes version. Okay, so Jesus dies. 3 days later, he rises. He spends some time with the disciples, kind of gearing them up for their journey together to begin the church. And then he ascends, right? And that's the end of the Gospel of Mark. So make sure you guys took good notes. Don't be afraid to pause. Make sure you guys respond to the questions on this Edpuzzle here. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday to review very briefly and then take the actual test. Have a great weekend. Go Chiefs. I hope on Wednesday when I see you guys again, we will be victors of Super Bowl LV. And we'll celebrate for sure. So have a great weekend. We'll see you guys later.